Hello readers, I'm Amy and it's that time of year again. We're doing a book haul revisit. So if you don't know already, every single season I go back 2 seasons previously and revisit the books that I hauled. So recently I did my spring haul and unhaul, so I will be looking back at my fall book haul, which I looked back at that video and it was actually a really short haul. I'm proud of my low purchases. I'm proud of the fact that I have read most of these books. So let's go ahead and get started. The first book is The Hero of Ages, and not actually this copy. So I had just gotten back from a trip to Las Vegas with my mother, and while I was at the airport, I think on the way home, I got a copy, I got the little like mass paperback copy of Hero of Ages, and it was signed. And eventually, as I read through the series, I ended up getting these really nice hardcovers because I love the cover, I was loving the books, and the book that I initially bought, I had passed on to my mom so that she could also read the series. This book itself, I think, is actually part of my winter haul, so I'll be talking about it again in my next revisit, I guess. But the point is, I passed on the initial copy that I bought in the fall to my mother, I got this nice copy, and I have in fact read it. And I love the Mistborn series, which is saying a lot for someone who's not super into fantasy, but it got me started on fantasy, so good on Brandon Sanderson. Then I got 2 books from a friend who was unhauling her books. I got Shutter Island and I got Dorothy Must Die. I have not read Dorothy Must Die yet, so I'm going to have to read it soon since this is my revisit and it's about taking responsibility. If I don't read it by the time I do like my next revisit, then that generally means that I'm going to unhaul it. There are a lot of books on my shelves that I've had for a lot longer than this one, but this responsibility in hauling is starting as of the time that I started BookTube, just as kind of a way to keep track of things and take responsibility for my purchases. Shutter Island I did read. I did it as a buddy read with Rachel Ray, and I hated it. I still have the copy because I think my husband was kind of interested in it. I'll talk to him if he's not going to read it. I'm definitely going to unhaul this, but it was just really slow. The writing was kind of meh. I already knew how the story was going to end, and for the way that it was going to end, I expected a lot more intrigue and build-up throughout the book. I wasn't feeling it at all. Then we have A House at the Bottom of a Lake, which apparently this book isn't in print anymore, is what I heard. But this is a novella by Josh Malerman, and I loved this book. We're following a couple who have just started dating. They go on a date to this lake, and they see a house beneath the lake, and they get a bunch of, like, underwater swimming stuff and start to explore it. And I really love the way the book was built, and I can't talk about any of it because it's super spoilery, but the way everything turns out and wraps up, it was very, very clever, and I really enjoyed it. And if you can get your hands on a copy of this, do so, because it's great. Then I have The Water Cure, which I will go ahead and link my review for this up in the corner. It's basically a very, like, male negative feminist dystopia, so it's not my favorite women's dystopia politically speaking, but I do still think it's a really interesting story. I like the world that the author was building. I liked some of the messages the author was giving, even if I didn't agree with all of them. Keep it on my shelves with my women's dystopia. 3 Women, which I will link the review for this up above as well. This is following the lives of 3 women over 8 years. This is a nonfiction. If you are going to read this, please read the physical or ebook, not the audiobook. I don't know about the performance of the audiobook, but the reason that I'm telling you not to start with the audiobook is because of the prose and the way that this is written. There are some chapters that are in second person, but generally the way it's written, I don't know what writing style this is, but because of the prose and the setup and the perspective that the author uses, whenever people do read the audiobook, I've heard that they're really, really struggling with it. So this is just a book that I find a lot easier to take in as a physical copy. And lastly, we have the start of my Isaac Asimov series. I actually have all of the other books for this particular edition, but I didn't buy them until, like, the next season. I just got Irobot, which I did read and I loved. It is one of my top 2 favorite Isaac Asimovs that I've read so far. I've read most of his short stories. I don't own the complete Robot because it's a combination of the rest of the Robots and Irobot, plus like 2 extra stories, so it just wasn't worth buying. But I finished this, I finished Rest of the Robots, and I've read the first 2 books in the Robots series, and this is probably still my favorite one. Also, these book covers are just gorgeous. And that is it, actually, for all the books that I hauled. So this is my shortest revisit. I'm really happy with that. So I only have 1 book in this haul that I need to read the next couple months. Good on me. I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope this is encouraging for you to take some responsibility for your own book purchases. So please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. I will see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.